Hello, I'm Kevin Helmick, President and CEO of Farmers National Bank. Welcome to another Blue Table Talk. Today I have with me a very good friend, and that's Mike Garvey, President of M-7 Technologies and Center Street Technologies. Welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kevin. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our guest today. Mike has been a business leader in the Mahoning Valley for so many years, and he's become a friend of not only mine, but of Farmers National Bank and small business everywhere. And I really want to hear from Mike today about, how did Mike get here, and then more about the businesses he's involved in. But I'm going to put him on the spot right now. I'm going to say, how is Mike Garvey the man he is today and the business leader he is today?
Well, honestly, it starts with my parents, and I was very fortunate, as were my brother and sisters, to be raised by wonderful parents and instilled great values in us and made us the people we are today.
I hear that a lot, and I echo the same sentiment. My family, my upbringing in the Midwest, and specifically in the Mahoning Valley, was so important to me, and certainly appreciate that and know that about your background. Now, one of the more interesting people that I know, just because of some of the things that you've been able to do and how you've transitioned from manufacturing, more traditional manufacturing, to really some pretty interesting things, and maybe even a couple of things that need an explanation. But I mentioned in the intro, M-7 Technologies and Center Street. Maybe tell us a little bit about those businesses and what you do, and even how you transitioned into the current era of what you do.
Sure. So it all started with a family business called Trumbull Bronze, which was a bronze foundry in Warren. And we made castings for the steel industry. And when it was started by my grandfather in 1918, it had 23 independently owned steel companies. So my father, who was a chemical engineer, joined his father after World War II and championed that business to heights that were previously, unobtainable. And I was fortunate to be an adolescent through that period of growth. And then going away to college, my first job was on the stock exchange in New York. And I loved it. That was my lifetime goal. And then my dad got sick. And so I made the decision then, 2 years into my career on Wall Street, that even though things were going extremely well, that my parents needed me back at home. And so I decided to come back to Ohio and try to save the family farm, which at that time was a bronze foundry with a small machine shop. So working my tail off, we were able to turn some things around. Then we had some disastrous, catastrophic situations that just continued to evolve the business into more of a machine shop manufacturing. And then from there, I was able to leverage the understanding of three-dimensional manufacturing, which was actually how a foundry manufactures and why they manufacture product, and that understanding into form, fit, and function of parts.
Incredible. So I hear the term metrology come up with M-7. Tell us about M-7 and metrology and how that's impacted industry today.
Sure. So when I proposed the business model based on metrology, people thought that I was going to try to go around and somehow weave in manufacturing with predicting weather. And so I had to explain to them that it's not meteorology, it's metrology. So metrology is a term used to describe the science of measurement. Okay, so the better you can measure a part, the better you can manufacture a part, and the better the manufacture the part, the longer the part will last. Okay, which was the same philosophy that my dad and my grandfather used at the foundry. So all we did is we transitioned some leading edge technology in the measurement science side of business and applied that to our manufacturing. So we took technology that was previously used for building the space shuttle and some very high-end defense and weapons programs. We transitioned that to steel mill equipment, and we were very successful with that. But that also gave us the opportunity to get a deep learn on the technology and the software that's behind it. And so I pretty much was not that familiar with the level of statistical modeling that's required to understand high data sets. So we've just been on that path ever since.
Gotcha. And the other side of the business, the Center Street, which is grown in popularity, 3D additive manufacturing, 3D printing. You can buy printers on, Amazon, on the internet. I know people that have bought them and are dabbling in it. I mean, tell us a little bit about that business, and could you have ever thought, how quickly it's transitioning and, the adoption rates for 3D and additive?
Right, so the additive manufacturing market is growing at 35% per year, year over year for the foreseeable future. And the applications are becoming very wide, everything from biomechanical to defense and industrial applications. So as our knowledge increased due to American Makes being located here in Youngstown, we decided to take on more of the industrial and defense segment, which is large area manufacturing, obviously. And since we're from Youngstown and we're from the family tree part of Youngstown that service the steel mills, which has large equipment, we decided to go after the large equipment applications, which is still very young. There's probably right now just about 30 machines that are described in the country that are described as large area, some larger than ours, some a lot smaller than ours. The thing that will differentiate the Center Street machine from all other machines that are currently available is the level of technological sophistication. So we not only will build the part in a large machine, we'll machine the part, but we'll also create a digital twin of that part, which is extremely critical to product life cycle and simulations and determining how long this part will last, will this part last in certain environments, and we'll be able to do that all digitally.
Incredible. All in Youngstown, Ohio, right here in the Mahoning Valley. You and I like to dream a lot and think about what is in store for the next generation. People talk about being able to 3D print, genetically modified organs for people and all different things. I mean, when you dream next generation, what could that look like?
Yeah, it's interesting you say this because that's one of my real loves of where we are and where I am in my career. It's now beginning to be the mentor of this next generation. Right. So for instance, this morning I had a conversation with one of our recent hires at Center Street, very qualified young lady that, Ernst & Young, presidential scholar at John Carroll, blah, blah, blah. I mean, extremely talented. And one of the questions she asked me in the interview prior to our giving her an offer was, Mike, okay, I understand that I will have these responsibilities, for the time being, but where do you see me going? What's the career path for me here? And so I talked to her about an opportunity that her sister just graduated from medical school, and prior to my brother's tragic accident, he and I were talking a lot about the application of additive manufacturing as applied to the transport of organs for transplant. Okay, so the organ has a finite life, and it's based on air aspiration into the surface of the organ. Okay, so the key is to create a personally customized transport box for that organ so that you can extend the life of the organ and get it to the recipient, in good shape before it expires. So as my brother Lee was telling me, that there's a huge opportunity for this technology, and from China, the leading cause of death in China, believe it or not, is head injuries caused by bicycle accidents. And so there's a lot of hearts that would be available for transplant, but they can't get the hearts from China to the States in time before they expire. So if we could 3D print a box that is custom to that heart and get it over, that would extend the life before it expires by probably threefold.
Wow, incredible.
So she could combine her, her sister's interests with what she's learning at Center Street right now and create their own company.
And you'll see this stuff come to fruition. I think I am a believer in the next generation. So, one of the things that I appreciate about people like you, Mike, is that your involvement in the community, charitable causes, but a business leader. I mean, what does small business? Small business means so much to Farmers National Bank. It's our lifeblood, and we just try so hard to make sure that small businesses, they survive, they thrive, they grow, they employ our friends and neighbors throughout the Mahoning Valley. So as a small business leader, I mean, what for anybody watching, what's your advice for small business leaders, and why is it important to you to be a strong small business?
Well, I think it's no different than a large business, is you have to have a strong team. So every time I come to Farmers, whether it's at the trust department, the private banking department, the commercial lending, you have an incredible team, and I can only aspire to having the team and having the responses that I've solicited from the team members about, hey, how's Kevin doing? Oh, we love Kevin. To a person, they tell me this, and that's a great reflection on you, Kevin. But I aspire to having unsolicited responses like that when people talk to our folks.
Great. Well, as you can see why I was excited to have Mike Garvey in today from M-7 in Center Street, a well-known business leader in the Mahoning Valley. And it's great. I know I take great comfort in having great minds like this at work on some of the really important issues of the future as it relates to additive manufacturing, measurement technology or metrology, as Mike described. And just thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us and educating us. So
Okay.
thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoyed it.